Good morning. This is Deepak and I'm in La Jolla. I got here day before yesterday and I have just returned from a world tour around the globe and I'm here for 3 days and then I'm going to the conference on the science of consciousness in Tucson, Arizona. If you're not familiar with it, do check it out on the internet. Science of Consciousness in Arizona. There'll be about 1,500 people all interested in consciousness joining us there. So perhaps if you're close to Tucson or Arizona, or if you have the time, ability, or desire, join us. You also see here a URL for something called Jaio.com. Jaio.com. That's my new social platform for those who are interested in higher consciousness and experiencing total well-being. So once again, if you have time, check out Jaio.com, my new social platform for total well-being and higher consciousness. Okay, so I would start today's talk, and then if you have questions, send them to me here and we can have a discussion. Today I thought we'll do is talk about the experience of what some neuroscientists are now referring to as the science of flow states. Somebody said no sound, so I'm checking, but apparently sound is coming. So once again, I'm going to talk about what some scientists are calling flow states and the experience of extreme joy. So for thousands of years, intermittently, people have spoken about an experience that can be called transcendence or joy or ineffability or unbounded love or unbounded unity consciousness. Some people have called it divine consciousness. The great scientist, psychologist, what's his name, in the last century, it'll come to me, called it peak experiences. Teilhard de Chardin, the Christian theologian, called it the experience of the theosphere, etc., etc. So peak experiences, transcendence, joy, flow state, unity consciousness, divine consciousness are all referring to the same thing, an extreme joy, flow. This has not been a subject for scientists to examine until recently, but it's been a subject that is part of a spiritual experience in every culture. It's also something that transpersonal psychologists have talked about. Transpersonal means going beyond the person into our common domain of collective consciousness, and then it's also been called the experience of universal consciousness. So, as I said, there has not been enough scientific interest in this experience. But recently, scientists have become interested because of reports of what are called out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, or experiences that people have had in deep coma or even sometimes in anesthesia, occasionally, out-of-body experiences, so-called. So the interest is there recently. And what those who study this experience are looking at is the brain, of course. Now, you and I have also had these experiences when we've felt extreme joy, or when you've looked across the Grand Canyon and you've been transfixed in an experience of pure wonder or pure joy, or when you say something like the beauty of the mountain was breathtaking, time stood still. Yes, the transpersonal psychologist was Maslow, and Abraham Maslow. Thank you, Connie, for reminding me. Okay, I'm going back to the discussion. So, and he used the word self-actualization. So we've all had this experience. You say the beauty of the mountain was breathtaking, time stood still. Or when the musician and the music become one, the dancer and the dance become one, the lover and the beloved become one, as in extreme love or sexual union. So everybody at some point has had this experience, maybe even as a child while playing, or some people have these experiences in deep meditation. Some people have had these experiences during prayer, and some people have had these experiences, as I mentioned, in nature. People have these experiences when they behold a newborn baby, especially if it's their own, etc. So these are moments when what happens? In these moments, we go beyond separation. The lover and the beloved are no longer separate. The music and the musician are no longer separate. The poet and the poetry are no longer separate. You and the universe are no longer separate. So you also get this feeling that you're one with the whole universe, one with the whole cosmos. Enough said about documentation. They have been there all along. So now what happens to the brain when somebody is having this experience? The brain shows actually decreased activity than in normal experiences, what we call normal experiences. The experience that we call waking state of consciousness is what we call normal experiences. In this state, there's me, and then there's the rest of the universe. There's me, and there's you, and there's rest of the universe. This is what we call normal. But when people have those transcendent moments, the state also called flow, because in those moments, especially when you have those experiences in music or art or nature or athletic performance, time slows down, or sometimes time speeds up, all noise disappears, and your performance, whatever that is, musical performance, athletic performance, your expression in poetry, it basically reaches its peak. That's why it's called peak performance. And nothing can stop you. Yes, it was Maslow. Thank you, Connie. Okay, so what happens to the brain? In fact, there are parts of the brain that show decreased blood flow, especially some parts of the prefrontal cortex, which is right here, and the dorsolateral part of the prefrontal cortex. And gradually that decreased activity extends to the right parietal lobe. In other words, your brain is not in the editing mode anymore. It is the editing of the brain that creates separation. And that is a result of the conditioning of our mind. So, when you're a newborn baby, you're given a name. That's part of the conditioning. The name separates you from everybody else. You're also given a religion, usually. You're given a nationality. And you're given a racial and ethnic identity. And every identity that you're given, every label that you're given, every conditioned label that you're given separates you from everything else. You are John Doe. I am Deepak Chopra. I'm Deepak Chopra. I'm of Indian origin. I am an American citizen. America is part, or the US is part of the continent of North America, and there's a dividing line that separates us from Canada, another dividing line that separates us from Latin America and from Mexico, and so many dividing lines which are all made up in our imagination. And then that each division, each boundary, each dividing line creates a separate identity. But you can realize, I hope, that this is a result of social indoctrination. The separate self is a result of social indoctrination. And then based on this indoctrination of the separate self, we have other identities, racial, ethnic, national, planetary, etc. We develop other artificial ideas like money, like a mind, like a body, like a universe, when all there is one universal activity that is experiencing itself as sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, localized as different observers, different modes of observation, different objects perceived, different knowers, different modes of knowing, different objects of knowledge known. But it's one homogeneous, immaterial, non-physical, fundamental reality that is now appearing as all these different states. Anytime we go close to that source, anytime we go to that understanding of the deeper reality, which is our own self, our own unified self, then we automatically feel joy. We automatically feel flow. We automatically feel a deep knowing of the present moment, what psychologists call the experience of deep now. Time disappears, and separation disappears, and only love remains. Love not as a mere sentiment or emotion, but love as the ultimate truth at the heart of creation, focused on none, denied on none, denied to none. Love as the ultimate truth at the heart of creation, focused on none, denied to none, one ineffable feeling of joy. And we're looking at the brain now, and the brain is stopping to edit the conditioned mind, and so that it's our true self, our true authentic state that is being revealed to us. And this feels amazing. This feels amazing. And there's also here a loss of the fear of death, because you realize that death happens only to a modality of experience which we call the separate self. Death does not happen to the being in which the experience is arising and subsiding as amorphous, intermittent sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. This is the experience of unity consciousness. This is the experience that we long for, and once we've had it, we hope to return to it. And every glance of love, every feeling of empathy, every little experience of compassion, every experience of joy, and every experience of total peace, equanimity, the peace that passes understanding, is a glimpse of this immortal self, which we seek in the other, which we seek through experience. So can we seek it through experience? And the answer is, if the experience is so intense that the experience transcends itself, then yes, we can find it through experience itself. You can find it through the experience of sound or vibration, and then you transcend the vibration and you become one with the vibration, and then the vibration disappears. So there you are, you're experiencing it through sound or music. Can you experience it through form? Yes, you can, when you become one with the beauty of that form, whether that is a sunset or a mountain or a river or the form of your beloved or the form of art, like art right behind me, the mandala of Tibetan monks. When your attention is focused on form and you and that form fuse into one being, then you transcend the form and you are one with all there is. All there is. So you can experience transcendence through sight. You can experience transcendence through taste, when you mindfully enjoy the taste of anything and you experience it in full sensuous mode and sensual mode, then even taste and smell can help you transcend. You can transcend through touch. Touch, because touch is also an experience, a modality of awareness called texture, hardness, softness. So in physical contact with intimate relationship, body to body, sexual relationships, what are called peak experiences of sexuality, when there is transcendence, otherwise called orgasm, there is loss of the experience of time, and there is loss of ego, there is transcendence, and there is the death of the ego. In fact, in French, the word for orgasm is little death. So every moment of a peak experience is actually a little death. And it is the death of what? It's the death of your separate, conditioned ego self. Okay, now that we have an idea of what this is, and that we can understand that it can happen through all the five senses, but it can also happen in meditation, and especially in mantra meditation or primordial sound meditation, as the sound of the mantra becomes more and more silent, and as the thoughts become more and more silent, and as the mantra and the thoughts start to interfere with each other, then suddenly there is no mantra and no thought, and there you are, you have transcended. This is the principle behind mantra meditation. It can also happen in what are called practices of awareness, when from the focal awareness that you have of perceived objects, you get into the field awareness in which objects are perceived. Mental objects, which are thoughts and images and emotions, but every thought, image and emotion is surrounded by a field of awareness or space, and so to physical objects, or what we call physical objects. They are perceptual objects, and that are actually modifications of consciousness, modalities of consciousness, and we think they're out there, but they occur in our consciousness, they are known in our consciousness, and ultimately they're made of our consciousness. But even now, as you become aware of the space that you're in, and become aware of the space separating you and me, and become aware of the vastness of space in which objects are perceived, and if you move your awareness from that localized awareness of objects to the unlocalized, unfocused awareness, what people call soft eyes, then you will experience um, a sense of connection to wholeness and a state of ineffability that ultimately results in the state of flow or joy or love or unity, etc., etc. Takes a little practice, but you can shift anytime to that state. Even now, as you're listening to me, you could become aware of who or what is doing the listening. And so, more and more you have this experience, what you'll realize is that body, mind, and universe are human concepts that are given to the analysis of perceiving and sensing and feeling and knowing. I was thinking this morning, does the dog in the White House know that Obama is the President of the United States, that with any decision he could influence the lives of millions of people? Does the dog in the White House know that it's called the White House? Does the dog know that it is referred to as a dog by the human species? So you see, as a result of language, and no one knows how language came about. No one really knows how language came about in humans, and no one knows exactly when. Some people say as long ago as 50,000 years, but we know for sure maybe 15,000 years ago, our species, the Homo sapiens, we developed a way of communicating our experiences, and that's all we have, by the way, experiences. And we developed a way of communicating our experiences to others through symbols that were represented in noise or sound. So right now you're listening to me, and there is meaning, I hope, that you are deriving from what I'm saying, but all that is being transmitted is noise, and symbolically that noise represents consciousness, my consciousness, communicating with your consciousness, which fundamentally is the same consciousness at a deeper level. That may have happened around 15,000 years ago, and then around 5,000 years we developed another way of representing our consciousness, and we call it written language, which is the symbolic expression of consciousness through squiggles, noises and squiggles, and we suddenly had a way of naming things. So we gave names to perceptions that we referred to as forms. We gave names to experiences that we thought were activities. Nouns and verbs were created by us, and then we named everything in existence, separating it from ourselves. We separated ourselves from all of existence by name and form, which was really a fundamental activity in unbounded, dimensionless field of awareness. So everything that we call reality is a name that we have given to it. We have given names to animals, and we call them animals, that's a concept. We call ourselves humans, that's a concept. We say we have a body, that's a concept. We say there's a universe, that's a concept. What's a concept? It's a thought. And then we have agreed to these labels, and we have created a human universe. And in that human universe, we have separated ourselves from all of existence, when in fact there is only existence. And there is only existence, and that existence, for lack of a better word, is awareness. Awareness means it knows itself. It knows itself as me, it knows itself as the other, it knows itself as all this. And so existence and awareness and being are the same entity. Existence. That's our fundamental core being. After that, it's all conceptual. It's sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts given labels. And so the conceptions are also created in that unbounded field of awareness. So today, maybe as you go about your day, what you could do is you could sense the field around you, what the ancient wisdom traditions in Vedanta called Chit Akash. Chit is consciousness, Akash, the unbounded space. And remember, we don't actually perceive space as an object, we sense it as a field in which the objects are perceived, and the objects that are perceived are also perceptions, experiences of perceptions, generated in us, experienced in us, known in us, and labeled in us as me and the other. As Einstein once said, he said, if you removed all the objects from space, even space would disappear, and if space would disappear, even time would disappear. So what would be left? What would be left is being. And it's ineffable. It cannot be expressed in words. That's why Rumi says God's language is silence. Everything else is a poor translation. And I'm doing my best right now to express myself in a way that can be understood but not totally experienced unless you can transcend. And yes, you can transcend if you're not compulsively driven to describe everything, to label everything, to evaluate everything, to judge everything, to classify everything, to separate everything as me and everything else, me and the other. Get into that habit. If you can start to wake up tomorrow morning and say, today I will judge nothing that occurs, your mind will go silent. And then take a little time in transcendence through just sitting still, or observing space, or observing thoughts, or observing sensations, or observing images, or even observing objects, and suddenly you will feel that state of flow, that state of joy, that state of transcendence, that state of unboundedness, that state of love, that state of insight into the nature of being as just existence, without labels, without separation. And then, there is the overcoming of all fear, including the fear of death. Existence is unborn and never dies. Existence is who we are. We cannot experience non-existence. We cannot even imagine non-existence, because in the imagining of non-existence, we survive as the one who's imagining the non-existence. Look at the space around you. Can you destroy it? Can you create it? You can't, even in imagination. Even in imagination, who you are is inconceivable, without dimensionality, unbounded, eternal, in the deep now, where there is no separation between knower, knowing, and known, no separation between observer, observing, and observed, no separation between the lover and the beloved. Who you are is, as the Bhagavad Gita says, that which cannot be burnt. Fire does not destroy it, extinguish it. Weapons do not shatter it. Fire cannot burn it. It is inconceivable, unborn, knows no death, and it's the real you. And so here I am trying my best to explain it again, but I'm hoping that you can start to experience it. So thank you for watching, Shraddha from Hong Kong. Thank you, Betsy, for watching from San Diego. Thank you, Lily, for watching from Oregon. Thank you, Sarah, for watching from Argentina. And thank you, Leonie Augustine, for watching from Johannesburg, South Africa. And we can continue to explore this topic at length. And what I would also suggest is you come back here and listen to it again if you want to get deeper into it. And check out my new platform, jayo.com, where we offer various techniques and modalities of experience that can take you to a higher level of consciousness. And so I think at this time I'll say goodbye and thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll see what the topic is. I haven't decided yet. But in the meanwhile, stay in love. Being in love. Being. We are beings and we are in existence as love. Ashok Kumar, diverse forms of consciousness and life may be already there in the entire universe. Okay, Ashok, yes, they're all yourself though. There's nothing other than the self of the individual at the deepest level, which is the self of the universe. Aham Brahmasmi. Thank you.